Auckland, in the North Island of New Zealand, is the largest and most populous urban area in the country. Auckland has a population of 1,454,300, 32% of New Zealand's population. It is part of the wider Auckland region, which includes the rural areas and towns north and south of the urban area, plus the islands of the Hauraki Gulf, resulting in a total population of 1,570,500 that is governed by the Auckland Council. Auckland also has the largest Polynesian population of any city in the world. In Maori, Auckland's name is Tamaki Makaurau and the transliterated version of Auckland is Akarana. The Auckland urban area ranges to Waiwira in the north, Kumeu in the northwest, and Runciman in the south. It is not contiguous. The section from Waiwira to Whangaparoa Peninsula is separate from its nearest neighbouring suburb of Long Bay. Auckland lies between the Hauraki Gulf of the Pacific Ocean to the east, the low Hunua Ranges to the southeast, the Manukau Harbour to the southwest, and the Waitakere Ranges and smaller ranges to the west and northwest. The central part of the urban area occupies a narrow isthmus between the Manukau Harbour on the Tasman Sea and the Waitemata Harbour on the Pacific Ocean. It is one of the few cities in the world to have two harbours on two separate major bodies of water. The 2014 Mercer Quality of Living Survey ranked Auckland third place in the world on its list, while The Economist Intelligence Unit's World's Most Livable Cities Index of 2015 ranked Auckland in ninth place. In 2010, Auckland was classified as a Beta World City in the World Cities Study Group's inventory by Loughborough University. In terms of population, it is the largest Oceanian city outside Australia. History. Main article: History of Auckland. Early history. The isthmus was settled by Maori around 1350, and was valued for its rich and fertile land. Many pa were created, mainly on the volcanic peaks. Maori population in the area is estimated to have been about 20,000 people before the arrival of Europeans. The introduction of firearms at the end of the 18th century, which began in Northland, upset the balance of power and led to devastating intertribal warfare beginning in 1807, causing iwi who lacked the new weapons to seek refuge in areas less exposed to coastal raids. As a result, the region had relatively low numbers of Maori when European settlement of New Zealand began. There is, however, nothing to suggest that this was the result of a deliberate European policy. On the 27th of January 1832, Joseph Brooks Weller, eldest of the Weller brothers of Otago and Sydney, bought land including the sites of the modern cities of Auckland and North Shore and part of Rodney District for one large cask of powder from Ko'i Rangatira. After the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi in February 1840, the new governor of New Zealand, William Hobson, chose the area as his new capital and named it after George Eden, Earl of Auckland, then Viceroy of India. The land that Auckland was established on was given to the governor by local Maori iwi Ngāti Whātua as a sign of goodwill and in the hope that the building of a city would attract commercial and political opportunities for the iwi. Auckland was officially declared New Zealand's capital in 1841, and the transfer of the administration from Russell in the Bay of Islands was completed in 1842. However, even in 1840, Port Nicholson was seen as a better choice for an administrative capital because of its proximity to the South Island, and Wellington became the capital in 1865. After losing its status as capital, Auckland remained the principal city of the Auckland province until the provincial system was abolished in 1876. In response to the ongoing rebellion by Hone Heke in the mid-1840s, the government encouraged retired but fit British soldiers and their families to migrate to Auckland to form a defence line around the port's settlement as garrison soldiers. By the time the first Fencibles arrived in 1848, the rebels in the north had been defeated, so the outlying defensive towns were constructed to the south, stretching in a line from the port village of Onehunga in the west to Hawick in the east. Each of the 4 settlements had about 800 settlers, the men being fully armed in case of emergency, but spent nearly all their time breaking in the land and establishing roads. In the early 1860s, Auckland became a base against the Maori King movement. This, and continued road building towards the south into the Waikato, enabled Pākehā influence to spread from Auckland. Its population grew fairly rapidly, from 1,500 in 1841 to 12,423 by 1864. The growth occurred similarly to other mercantile-dominated cities, mainly around the port and with problems of overcrowding and pollution. Auckland had a far greater population of ex-soldiers, many of whom were Irish, than other settlements. About 50% of the population was Irish, which contrasted heavily with the majority English settlers in Wellington, Christchurch or New Plymouth. Most of the Irish, though not all, were from Protestant Ulster. The majority of settlers in the early period were assisted by receiving a cheap passage to New Zealand. Modern history trams and railway lines shaped Auckland's rapid expansion in the early first half of the 20th century. But soon afterward the dominance of the motor vehicle emerged and has not abated since. Arterial roads and motorways have become both defining and geographically dividing features of the urban landscape. They also allowed further massive expansion that resulted in the growth of urban areas such as the North Shore and Manukau City in the south. Economic deregulation in the mid-1980s led to dramatic changes to Auckland's economy, and many companies relocated their head offices from Wellington to Auckland. The region was now the nerve centre of the national economy. Auckland also benefited from a surge in tourism, which brought 75% of New Zealand's international visitors through its airport. In 2004, Auckland's port handled 43% of the country's container trade. The face of urban Auckland changed when the government's immigration policy began allowing immigrants from Asia in 1986. According to the 1961 census data, Maori and Pacific Islanders comprised 5% of Auckland's population, Asians less than 1%. By 2006, the Asian population had reached 18.0% in Auckland, and 36.2% in the central city. New arrivals from Hong Kong, Taiwan and Korea gave a distinctive character to the areas where they clustered, while a range of other immigrants introduced mosques, Hindu temples, halal butchers and ethnic restaurants to the suburbs. The assertiveness of Pacific Island street culture and the increasing political influence of ethnic groups contributes to the city's multicultural vitality. Geography. Volcanoes. Auckland straddles the Auckland volcanic field, which has produced about 90 volcanic eruptions from 50 volcanoes in the last 90,000 years. It is the only city in the world built on a basaltic volcanic field that is still active. It is estimated that the field will stay active for about 1 million years. Surface features include cones, lakes, lagoons, islands and depressions, and several have produced extensive lava flows. Some of the cones and flows have been partly or completely quarried away. The individual volcanoes are all considered extinct, although the volcanic field itself is merely dormant. The trend is for the latest eruptions to occur in the northwest of the field. Auckland has at least 14 large lava tube caves which run from the volcanoes down towards the sea. Some are several kilometers long. A new suburb, Stonefields, has been built in an excavated lava flow northwest of Maunaray, Mount Wellington, that was previously used as a quarry by whinstones. Auckland's volcanoes are fueled entirely by basaltic magma, unlike the explosive subduction-driven volcanism in the central North Island, such as at Mount Ruapehu and Lake Taupo, which are of tectonic origin. The most recent and by far the largest volcano, Rangitoto Island, was formed within the last 1,000 years. and its eruptions destroyed the Maori settlements on neighbouring Motutapu Island some 700 years ago. Rangitoto's size, its symmetry, its position guarding the entrance to Waitemata Harbour and its visibility from many parts of the Auckland region make it Auckland's most iconic natural feature. Few birds and insects inhabit the island because of the rich acidic soil and the type of flora growing out of the rocky soil. Harbours, Gulf and rivers. Auckland lies on and around an isthmus, less than 2 kilometres wide at its narrowest point, between Mangere Inlet and the Tamaki River. There are 2 harbours in the Auckland urban area surrounding this isthmus. Waitemata Harbour to the north, which opens east to the Hauraki Gulf, and Manukau Harbour to the south, which opens west to the Tasman Sea. The total coastline of Auckland is 3,702 kilometres long. Bridges span parts of both harbours, notably the Auckland Harbour Bridge crossing the Waitemata Harbour west of the Auckland Central Business District. The Mangere Bridge and the Upper Harbour Bridge span the upper reaches of the Manukau and Waitemata harbours, respectively. In earlier times, portage paths crossed the narrowest sections of the isthmus. Several islands of the Hauraki Gulf are administered as part of Auckland, though they are not part of the Auckland metropolitan area. Parts of Waiheke Island effectively function as Auckland suburbs, while various smaller islands near Auckland are mostly zoned recreational open space, or nature sanctuaries. Auckland also has a total length of approximately 21,000 kilometres of rivers and streams, about 8% of these in urban areas. Climate. According to the NIWA, Auckland has a subtropical climate, with warm, humid summers and mild, damp winters. Under Köppen's climate classification, the city has an oceanic climate. It is the warmest main centre of New Zealand and is also one of the sunniest, with an average of 2003.1 sunshine hours per annum. The average daily maximum temperature is 23.9 degrees Celsius in February and 14.9 degrees Celsius in July. The absolute maximum recorded temperature is 34.4 degrees Celsius, while the absolute minimum is -3.9 degrees Celsius. High levels of rainfall occur almost year-round, with an average of 1,115.5 mm per year. Snowfall in Auckland is extremely rare. Recorded instances include the 27th of July 1939 and the 15th of August 2011, although without any accumulation. The early morning calm on the isthmus during settled weather, before the sea breeze rises, was described as early as 1853. In all seasons, the beauty of the day is in the early morning. At that time, generally, a solemn stillness holds, and a perfect calm prevails. Many Aucklanders use this time of day to walk and run in parks. Auckland occasionally suffers from air pollution due to fine particle emissions. There are also occasional breaches of guideline levels of carbon monoxide. While maritime winds normally disperse the pollution relatively quickly, it can sometimes become visible as smog, especially on calm winter days. Precipitation is relatively abundant all year round, but is higher in winter. The west of Auckland is slightly wetter and cooler than the eastern side, with the Gulf Islands being warmer and drier still. Demography. Auckland's population is predominantly of European origin, though the proportion of those of Asian or other non-European origins has increased in recent decades due to immigration, and the removal of restrictions directly or indirectly based on race. Immigration to New Zealand is heavily concentrated towards Auckland. This strong focus on Auckland has led the immigration services to award extra points towards immigration visa requirements for people intending to move to other parts of New Zealand. However, this is partially offset by net emigration out of Auckland to other regions of New Zealand, mainly Waikato and Bay of Plenty. The following table shows the ethnic profile of Auckland's population, as recorded in the 2001, 2006, and 2013 New Zealand censuses. The substantial percentage drop of Europeans in 2006 was mainly caused by the increasing numbers of people from this group choosing to define themselves as New Zealanders, as a result of a media campaign that encouraged people to give the response New Zealander, even though this was not one of the groups listed on the census form. In the 2013 census, fewer Europeans identify themselves as New Zealander, leading to a significant increase of numbers in Europeans. Cultures. Auckland is home to many cultures. The majority of inhabitants claim European, predominantly British or Irish, descent, but substantial Maori, Pacific Islander and Asian communities exist as well. Auckland has the largest Polynesian population of any city in the world and a higher proportion of people of Asian origin than the rest of New Zealand. Ethnic groups from all corners of the world have a presence in Auckland, making it by far the country's most cosmopolitan city. Almost 2 in 5 Aucklanders were born overseas according to the 2013 census. The most popular overseas birthplaces were the United Kingdom, mainland China, India, Fiji, Samoa and South Africa. Religion. Similar to the rest of the country, over half of Aucklanders profess Christianity, but fewer than 10% regularly attend church and almost 40% profess no religious affiliation. The main denominations are Anglican, Roman Catholic, and Presbyterian. Pentecostal and Charismatic churches are the fastest growing. A small community of Coptic Orthodox Christians is also present. Recent immigration from Asia has added to the religious diversity of the city, and about 10% of the population follow such beliefs as Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam and Sikhism. Although there are no figures on religious attendance, there is also a small, long-established Jewish community.